بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم انشر علينا رحمتك وانزل علينا حكمتك اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا اللهم علما. راح فين؟ There you go. Right. So you guys know Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. He was a big guy. He was really big. You can't even imagine how tall and big he was. He was really huge, right? He was very, very strong. And he was the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ. But he was his uncle, but he was his age, at the same age, right? And he was his brother from breastfeeding. So they were actually like brothers, very close friends, same age, even though that Sayyidina Hamza was the Nabi ﷺ's uncle, right? When the Nabi ﷺ started telling Quraysh, telling the kuffar about his deen and about the Islam and all this, a lot of people disbelieved him. A lot of people didn't accept it, and they had different reasons, right? And not only this, but most of the kuffar, especially from the rich and powerful people, they started torturing whoever become Muslim. So it was really, really hard for the Muslimin to tell people that they are Muslimin. So a lot of people, when they became Muslim, they just hide it. They didn't tell anyone that they became Muslim. Why? Because if actually someone like Abu Lahab or Abu Jahl or any of these bad guys knew about their Islam, they would have tortured them or harmed them some way, right? So Nabi ﷺ used to face a lot of problems and a lot of إيذاء, a lot of bad from the mushrikeen, right? And his uncle and his brother, so we said his uncle, but he's the same age of him. Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib was, this man was like, he really loved to go hunt. So he didn't actually care, and he didn't want to listen to Sayyidina Muhammad, even though he loved him so much, and he protected him many, many times. But he didn't actually care about Islam. So regardless what's happening with Sayyidina Muhammad, regardless what's happening between Muhammad and Quraysh, every day he takes his ark, yeah, and go for hunting, right? Just very relaxed dude. And what happened once, the Nabi ﷺ was at the Kaaba talking to some people about Islam. Abu Jahl came, and you guys know Abu Jahl. You all heard about Abu Jahl, correct?
No. Yeah. I know.
Abu Jahl.
No.
Abu Jahl, older name was Hakam, and the word Hakam, it comes from the word Hakim, and Hakim means the wise man. So he was a very wise man, and they used to call him the father of wisdom. But because of what he did to Islam and because of what he did to our Prophet ﷺ, they afterwards called him Abu Jahl, the father of ignorance, right? So Abu Jahl, that day, he met the Nabi ﷺ and he started cussing him. And he started telling him really like bad stuff, and he started talking trash to Nabi ﷺ. And he harmed him so bad. And the Nabi ﷺ went back home very sad that day. So Hamza, the big man, was coming back from the hunting trip. And one of the little girl, she was actually Muslimah, but no one knew. So she was a Muslim, right? She was Muslimah, but she hid her Islam. When she saw Hamza walking back to his house, she told him, didn't you hear about what happened to your nephew? She said, what happened to him? He said, you left your nephew being insulted and being harmed by Abu Jahl, and you are in a hunting trip? How come? So she was like actually trying to encourage him to do something. So Hamza قال لها أو حدث ذلك? Did this happen to him? She said yes. He said who? She said Abu Jahl did that to him. Right? So Hamza walked all the way to the Kaaba, and Abu Jahl was standing between his friends and his followers. And then he started walking towards Abu Jahl, and since he was like really big guy, so whenever he walks, everyone open moves, just no one want to stand in front of him. So he was walking, and everyone's opening to him, and then he reached Abu Jahl. He hit his head with his arch, and he told him, "You cuss Muhammad, and I am following his religion." Actually, he wasn't. He wasn't Muslim aslan. Just because he was mad, Hamza wasn't Muslim, but just because he was mad, he said this. He said, "Do you cuss Muhammad, and I am following his religion? ردها علي إن استطعت." Hit me back if you can. Just hit me. Right? And imagine like the big guy and talking to Abu Jahl, he can't do anything. He said, ردها علي إن استطعت. Do it. Hit me back if you can. And Abu Jahl couldn't. And the people start, oh, did Hamza become Muslim? No one knew that Hamza became Muslim. Actually, he didn't. He was just saying a word. Right? But after this incident, Hamza went to his house and he was like, what did I say? I said in front of everyone that I became Muslim, right? How can I come tomorrow and say like, guys, I was just joking? I can't do that. So he went to in his house and he started praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, "Oh Allah, if this religion is the truth, open my heart. Open my heart and make it feel good about it." And subhanAllah, that night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened his heart to Islam. And the next morning he went to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he told him, "Ya Muhammad, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu annaka rasulullah. I am following you. Go give da'wah and don't worry. If anyone talk to you, come. Just let me know." Right? And he became a huge support to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in his da'wah. I'm going to move from Hamza now and I will come back to his story again. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, with the very few Muslimin, he wanted to do some meetings, right? They had to meet to organize the efforts of the da'wah between them. So where would they go? Every single person, every single of the Muslim men is known. Sayyidina Abu Bakr is Muslim and everyone knows he's Muslim, right? So if they go to Sayyidina Abu Bakr's house, the kuffar will just find them, right? And Sayyidina Umar wasn't Muslim. So Sayyidina Umar was one of the kuffar, and he was actually one of the worst kuffar ever. He used to harm Nabi alayhi salatu so much before he became Muslim. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam wanted to do the meeting of the Muslimin. Where did they go? They went to someone's house. His name was Al-Arqam ibn Al-Arqam. And Al-Arqam at that time, could you guys guess how old he was at the time? 100 years? Oh no, that's wrong. That's too much. He was young.
Oh! 20 something?
Say your number.
27?
27. Omar.
25?
25.
26?
26.
23?
23. 20. Thank you, guys.
No, 21.
Thank you. Thank you. He was 16 years old. So why did the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam chose a 16 years old to go to his house? First, because no one would think that the Muslimin, the Prophet, and the big guys are doing a meeting in a 16 years old house, right? So the mushrikeen would not even think about it. And the second thing, because Al-Arqam and Al-Arqam was from a tribe that they were enemies with the tribe of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, with Banu Hashim. So they won't even think that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would go to their enemies in one of their houses and do the meeting, right? But I want you guys to think about it. 16 years old, that boy at the time, he was responsible enough to hold the meeting, the most important meeting in his house. Look at our 16 years olds now, and I'm not talking about Shihab or Ali or Yazid, because I'm talking in general. Look at the 16 years old people now, and look at yourself after 3, 4, 5 years from now. When you become 16, would you be responsible enough to do even anything? Not necessarily the most important meeting, but would you be responsible enough to do something maturely and in a good way? I want you to, and this is something doesn't happen to a person all of a sudden. It starts in this age. If someone starts feeling the responsibility and start acting mature enough, when he becomes 16, he will be mature enough to hold some responsibilities. But if he is 12 now and is still acting like 7, don't expect anything out of him even if he's 20, right? So the Muslimin used to do their meetings at Sayyidina عند Sayyidina Al-Arqam ibn Abil Arqam in his house, right? At this time, as I just mentioned, Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab wasn't Muslim, and he was one of the worst people to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Umar ibn Khattab, in fact, he was as huge as Hamza. So Umar al-Khattab was a huge man. I don't know if you guys know these details about him, but his body was big enough to a point that when he was riding his horse, if he wants to let the horse go, he doesn't go down. He just extends his leg. So the horse, imagine he's sitting on a horse like this, and when he wants to take off, he just stands, so the horse goes. Can you imagine how tall he was? Right? He was big, and he used to harm the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam so much. So one of the things he used to do, he used to walk behind the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wherever he goes. And he doesn't harm the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam directly, but if anyone come trying to talk to the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Umar is like, go! And the man, he can't do anything about it. And he started doing this to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam a lot, until Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam once told him, Ya Umar, ألا تتركني ليلا أو نهارا? Don't you ever leave me, either by night or by morning? He just wanted him to feel a little bit of what he does to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So Umar ibn Khattab had a little servant, and she was a girl. And she became Muslim. He once saw her praying, so he knew that she became Muslim. So he used to torture her badly, right? And once he was slapping her with something kida, he used to hit her very, very long time until he gets tired. So he was once and then he got tired. He was like just taking his breath. And she told him, look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you tired and made you stronger. Little girl, and Umar ibn Khattab is torturing her, and she's telling him this. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you tired and made you stronger. And he said, that made it, that shaked me a little bit. Shock. That shocked me a little bit. شوك العيال دي بتجنني خلاص. So one night, so Umar ibn Khattab, as I said, he was kafir, right? And he used to drink alcohol and get drunk with his friends. So one day he went to the place where him and his friends meet to drink and get drunk and spend the night together. None of his friends was there, right? So he said, "Khalas, let's go to drug place where they buy the, not drugs, sorry, the alcohol. The alcohol store where they buy their alcohol from there. So he said, let's go buy some. So he went, he found the store, closed. يعني what I'm gonna do tonight? I don't want to go home. So he said, خلاص, let's go على البيت, على الكعبة. Let's go just make some tawaf a little bit. And by the way, the mushrikeen, they used to do tawaf around the Kaaba and worship their idols. Right? So they weren't worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they used to go to the Kaaba. So Umar ibn Khattab went to the Kaaba and he heard the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam praying. So he starts sneaking to the masjid, closer, and he said, let's listen to what he's saying. Right? And without Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam noticed that Umar is listening to him. So Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was reciting Surah Al-Haqqa. And if you guys know Surah Al-Haqqa is just short ayat, and they all have the same, the same tone.
Rhymes.
Okay.
Rhythm.
Rhythm.
They all have al-haq.
So he was listening, and then he said in his mind, man, this, he's talking about the Prophet, right? He said, this man is a poet. And the next ayah was what? وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ شَاعِرٍ قَلِيلًا مَا تُؤْمِنُونَ. And he is not a poet, قَلِيلًا مَا تُؤْمِنُونَ. Just the immediate next ayah. So Umar al-Khattab was, oh, then he's a magician. الآية اللي بعدها إيه؟ وَلَا بِقَوْلِ كَاهِنٍ. And he is not a magician. قَلِيلًا مَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. He said, then where did it come from? The third ayah is تنزيل من رب العالمين. It's the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like this. When he thought about the poem, Allah said he's not a poet. When he thought about the magic, Allah said he's not a magician. He said, what is it? The third ayah, تنزيل من رب العالمين. فhe said, فوقع في قلبي. يعني he started feeling in his heart a little bit about Islam. Right? One day, Umar ibn Khattab was walking. He saw a lady. She's packing her stuff and she's leaving out of the city. Where are you going? She said, يعني, I'm just leaving. She was Muslim and you guys harming us and all this stuff. So he said, لا يليق بك يعني أن تهاجري. ارجعي إلى بيتك. He said, no. Go back to your house. We're not going to harm you. So this lady, when she went to her house, she spoke to her husband. And she said, it seems like Umar ibn Khattab is changing toward us. It seems like he started liking the Muslimin. He might become Muslim. And what did her husband said?
No.
He said, Umar ibn Khattab would not become Muslim until the donkey of his father become Muslim. Which is actually would never happen. Right?
See that does happen because all animals are Muslims. They worship Allah.
Right, that's correct. But he's talking about like something that will never happen in front of people. Right? And just to learn one thing from this incident, don't ever anticipate anything for anyone. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides people. So don't tell about this particular person, dude, he's so bad, he would never become a good people. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided Hamza, look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala later on guided Umar ibn Khattab. So don't ever think that guidance is far from anyone. Guidance is close to everyone. Right? So Umar ibn Khattab heard some other stuff about Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he got tired. So he said, you know what? Today, I'm going to kill the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam for sure. I'm killing Muhammad today. He took his sword, he put it in poison just to make sure يعني, it kills immediately. And he started walking, his face was red, and he's very يعني, mad. He's going to kill Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Where is Muhammad? He knew like where he sits. At Al-Arqam, Al-Arqam. Right? So he's going to kill Muhammad. Now, once he's walking in the street. Is that a question?
Isn't that how Umar died? Or dad put it
That's another answer. Yeah, I'll come to it. So he put the sword in a poison. He started walking. His face is red, very mad, willing to kill kill Muhammad. Where is Muhammad? He's at Dar Al-Arqam. Okay, let's go. While he was walking, he met one of the Muslimin, but again, he was hiding his Islam. So the guy asked Umar, well, what's wrong? Where are you going? He said, enough. I am killing Muhammad tonight. And he actually didn't know what to do, because Umar ibn Khattab looks like he's going to kill the Prophet for real. Right? So he told him, you're going to kill the Prophet because he's Muslim, while your sister is Muslim and you're just leaving her? So Umar said, what? My sister is Muslim? He said, yeah, she's been Muslim for a while now. He said, alright, thank you, I'm going to go to my sister now. So what did the Sahabi did? He actually found that Umar most likely is going to kill the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he said, khalas, let's, if someone's going to die, then let's save the Prophet and let's get his sister killed instead. So, after. So Umar ibn Khattab started walking to his sister's house. And in her house, she was sitting with her husband, right? And a third Sahabi, his name is Khabbab. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to split them into small groups to sit and learn about the Quran together. So Fatima bint al-Khattab, Umar's sister, her husband, and Khabbab are sitting in the house. Umar is coming from far away. He's tipping. Seems like he's making some noise. So they heard that Umar is coming. What did Khabbab do? He ran and he hid it in one of the closets. Right? Umar knocked the door, open the door. She opened the door and she had the Mus'haf. It wasn't actually the big Mus'haf. It was just Surah Taha, part of the Mus'haf. They didn't have big Mus'haf like what we do now. So it was just parts. And the revelation wasn't ended yet. So she said, show me what's in your hand. She said no. And then he turned to her husband and he hit him in his face. So the guy just fell on the ground. And then he started punching him and stuff. So Sa'id, her husband, started telling him, أرأيت إن كان الحق على غير دينك, didn't you ever think that the right could be somewhere else, not your deen, not your religion? And then Fatima came to defend her husband. So Umar slapped her face and he cut part of her face. She started bleeding from here and from her ears. Right? And he's like, give me the book in your hand, give it to me. She said, no, I will never give it to you. You're not a Muslim. If you want to look in the Sahifa, go make ghusl, take shower to become tahir, and then I'll give it to you. And subhanAllah, when he saw the blood coming down from his sister's face, he calmed down a little bit. And he went and he took a shower and he came and he took the Sahifa from Fatima and he started reading, and it was Surah Taha. So he was like, Taha ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى إلا تذكرة لمن يخشى تنزيلا ممن خلق الأرض والسماوات العلى. And he kept reading, and then at that moment he really wanted to meet the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but not to kill him, but to understand more about the Islam. Right? So he knew that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is meeting with the Sahaba at Dar Al-Arqam ibn Abil-Arqam. Right? So Umar starts walking towards Dar Al-Arqam. As soon as he got there, he knocked the door and he said, I am Umar. Everyone in the house starts shaking. Umar is here, it's a major problem. Who stood for him? Who stood against him?
Hamza.
No, Hamza. So Hamza now was in the meeting. And Hamza, as I mentioned, he was as big as Umar, right? So when Hamza saw the Muslimin shaking, he said, what's wrong with you guys? Come on. If he's here for good, welcome. If he's here for bad, I'm going to deal with him. So Hamza opened the door, and he is like, what brought you here, Umar? Right? And Umar ibn Khattab stepped in. So in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because he was very wise, he saw good in Umar ibn Khattab's eyes. So he said, Ta'ala ya Umar, come Umar. And then Umar walked a little bit towards the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stood, and look at how the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as a leader supported his followers. People were scared, people were shaken when Umar ibn Khattab came, even though Umar is much bigger in size and in strength than the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stood, and he went to Umar ibn Khattab, and he held him from his clothes, and he shook him a couple of times, and he said, "Ama ana laka an tuslima ya Umar? Isn't it time to become Muslim, Umar?" And Umar ibn Khattab fell on his knees out of the power of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he shook him really hard. So he said, "Ama ana laka an tuslima ya Umar?" And Umar ibn Khattab, as I said, he fell on his knees and he said, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." The Sahaba start making takbir. They couldn't even believe it. They couldn't even believe that Umar ibn Khattab, one of the most enemies to Islam and one of the most, one of the people that used to harm them so much is becoming Muslim. They couldn't believe it. They start making takbir up to a point that the people at the Kaaba start hearing a takbir coming from nowhere. They didn't even know where it comes from. So the Sahaba were so happy about Umar ibn Khattab becoming Muslim. And Umar ibn Khattab, now how long he's been Muslim for? Just a minute, right? He said, Ya Rasulullah, أَوَلَسْنَا عَلَى الْحَقِّ? Aren't we following the truth? Aren't we right? He said, yes. He said, أَوَلَيْسُوا عَلَى الْبَاطِلِ? Aren't they on the wrong path? He said, yes. So why are we hiding? Let's go out. Let's go in front of everyone. So for the very first time, Umar ibn Khattab and Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib are standing in front of two lines of Muslims, walking across the whole city, going to the Kaaba, making tawaf, and every single non-Muslim and kafir of Quraysh is just looking, and no one could talk to them. Why? Because Hamza and Umar are in front of the lines. So no one could even know what to do. Now it's a new thing. They've been hiding for a very long time. Today was the first day. The Muslims got out of their secret place, start making tawaf in front of everyone. Why? Because they had Umar and Hamza. I'm going to get back to this point, but I just want to mention a little just part about Umar. So Umar, after this whole thing finished and everyone went to his house, Umar really want to get in a fight with someone today. So he went to Abu Jahl. He knocked his door. He said, Abu Jahl, Umar, welcome. He didn't know he's Muslim yet. He said, by the way, I became Muslim. So Abu Jahl قال أفسدت علي يومي, يعني you ruined my day. And he closed the door. He really wanted him to fight. يعني عارف when someone really wants to hit someone in the face. So he went to Abu Sufyan. He knocked his door. Abu Sufyan, Umar. He said, by the way, I became Muslim. He said, you ruined my day. And he closed the door. Umar, what, to really want to get in a fight with someone? You know, he has like some energy that he wants to get it out. So he heard about someone. They told him there's a person, his name is Jamil. Jamil doesn't, if you tell him any secret, he take it and expect the whole city to know in 5 minutes. You know, like these guys, when you tell them like, I'm going to tell you a secret, don't tell anyone. He take it and he goes to the whole class. You guys, I'm going to tell you the secret. You know this type? Jamil was worse. So Umar ibn Khattab went to Jamil and he told him, dude, I'm gonna tell you a secret, but don't tell anyone. He said, yeah, tell me. He said, hold on, don't tell anyone. He said, yeah, tell me. If I tell you and you tell someone, I'll be in trouble. Jamil, طبعا he wants him to tell people, obviously, but he's just يعني. So he told Jamil, I became Muslim. Jamil فلع اختفى. He went, يا قوم أيها الناس, everyone, صبأ ابن الخطاب. صبأ means he left his religion. So he's saying, so people came and they start fighting Umar ibn Khattab, and Umar ibn Khattab stood fighting all of them alone for hours. Hours. He's hitting them and they are hitting him. They had a fight for hours. Umar ibn Khattab alone in front of everyone. Right? Until Umar ibn Khattab really got tired and he couldn't handle it anymore. So what he did, he chose someone not very big, and he put him in the ground and with his fingers, and he told him, tell them to stop or wallahi I'll take off your eyes now. So the guy told him, خلاص, stop. And he went, خلاص, now the fight stopped. And Umar ibn Khattab went back home very tired. Enough? Not enough. He brought his family, his kids. And he told him, listen, kids, listen. كلامي من كلامكم علي حرام. It's forbidden, it's haram on me to talk to you. Or you talk to me until you guys become Muslim. And his little son, Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, Dad, I've been Muslim for long, but I hid it. I didn't want you to know. Since we ran out of time, I won't be able to finish the stories. But I want to tell you guys one important thing. Look at how the strong men, Umar ibn al-Khattab and Hamza, benefited the Muslims big time. Look at how the Muslims were weak before having Umar ibn al-Khattab and Hamza among them. And look at how they became strong after having Umar ibn al-Khattab and Hamza among them. Shahada. Look at this difference and think about it now. At their time, power was in body, right? Now, power is in what? In mind, in knowledge, right? In media. Media, yes. Media. TV, news. Right? So if you really, guys, I didn't finish. If you really want to become Umar ibn Khattab or Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib of this time, you have to think about what would make you strong and powerful to benefit your Islam. Think about it. Now we don't want you to go work out in the gym to become that strong, because you're not going to benefit anyone, right? But if you want to benefit your fellow Muslims, if you want to benefit your deen, if you want to benefit Islam, you have to know that if you want to do this, you have to be very strong in knowledge. You have to be very strong in your school, in your college. That's what would make us strong. Right? Someone has a question?
I have a question. The Muslims that followed Prophet Muhammad were only the poor people.
That's not true. For example, Sayyidina Abubakr Siddiq was one of the most rich people in the city. Khadija, Sayyidina Muhammad's wife, was a very, very successful businesswoman. Abdurrahman ibn Auf, a lot of people. Uthman ibn Affan was one of the most rich people all over the city. A lot of rich people, so that's not very accurate. The Islam was actually for everyone. People from different backgrounds, from different social standards followed Islam from day one. طيب جزاكم الله خير.